Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the Elgato Stream Deck Plus. This is the white edition. It's their newest model. It's about 339 Australian dollars. And so today I'm going to show you guys what comes in the box, what you can do with it, and whether or not it is worth the money. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to chuck it a like, get subscribed, and let's begin. So let me show you inside what comes included with an Elgato Stream Deck Plus. Now, starting off with the unboxing experience, removing that top part of the box, it feels very much like an Apple unboxing. Super premium, super high end. It's a really nice time. Once you get that box removed though, basically you've got the little envelope here from Elgato, which includes the quick start guide and the warranty guide if you need that for future reference. And then beneath that, you've actually got the Stream Deck Plus with a bit of cloth covering it from any scratches with the 4 dials sticking out. The actual Stream Deck Plus, it weighs about 470 grams. That's a pretty hefty unit, but once you actually remove that cloth that protects it, you can sort of appreciate, and I hope it sort of shows on camera, just how nice this thing is with that matte white plastic, with the contrast of those black buttons and the black dials of the screen there. It just looks super high end, and it definitely lives up to the price anyway, in terms of just like how it feels, and does it feel premium? Does it justify the price point? Because it definitely doesn't feel like a cheap product. And then you've got the USB cable. So it's USB Type A at one end, USB Type C going into the Stream Deck. It's about 6 foot long, 1.8 meters. And what's nice as well is they've actually gone ahead and made it a white cable to match the white Stream Deck. It's one of those little things, but when you're paying this amount of money, it's nice to see that they've gone to extra effort here to actually give you a cable that is matching the actual Stream Deck itself. So believe it or not, I've actually never used an Elgato Stream Deck. I've seen them on the market for a number of years now. I've looked them up, I've researched them, and personally I thought they were a little bit overpriced and I could never really justify a reason for having one myself. So when Elgato actually offered me the opportunity to check out the Stream Deck Plus, I was pretty excited because I didn't actually have to do that initial investment. So when it comes to this review, I guess you can look at this video from the perspective of someone who has never used one of their products. I'm not going to be hardcore promoting it or anything like that. And I'm really going to be giving you my honest opinion on whether or not it is worth your money. Now, if you don't know what a Stream Deck is, it's actually okay. I'll explain it really simply. Basically, it's an extension of your keyboard and your mouse and your Windows or Mac shortcuts, and it can do a whole bunch of really cool things. So you could program any one of these 8 buttons up the top here to maybe launch a program, maybe play or pause a song, maybe turn on or turn off your lights, and then using the dials, you could actually go ahead and adjust the volume, but you can also do other things like you could rotate left to copy, rotate right to paste. You can actually push down to do other things like play, pause music, like I said, or maybe mute your microphone. And then you can use this touchscreen to also interact with some of those commands. So it really acts as an extension, like I said, of those existing accessories that you already have, but just cuts down how many steps you might need to actually do something for that action to happen. So what might take 4 or 5 clicks, now you can just do with the press of one button. Now let's talk design and build quality. Overall, it's really nice looking. The fact that it's got a matte white plastic on here as well, so it's not going to pick up oil and fingerprints that easy. I think that's a really good choice. The layout is fine. I wish though that you could actually adjust the front face here. It is at a fixed angle. And the other thing that I wish was that the buttons and how they feel when you press them up here was like the knobs down the bottom. These feel great, like the tactile little bump that you get when you're rotating them and when you're pressing them in. It feels super solid, but up here it feels a little bit mushy and a little bit, I don't know, just a bit off. It doesn't feel like a super high-end product, considering that this is, remember, over 300 Australian dollars. The other thing is, I mean, considering that this is all about customization and doing a whole bunch of different things with it, I wish that you could actually go ahead and maybe detach the actual front face from the base. I don't know if that's possible, but the fact that you have to sit with it at an angle is just, I don't know, a bit of a weird choice in my opinion. Giving the option to do either or is always what I would prefer, because someone who might be looking at this might be using it in a situation where they're not able to be seated at a desk. Maybe they're going to have multiple of these things. Maybe they're in a production house where they don't have that luxury of being able to always sit down or have a surface that is always going to be at the same angle. Maybe you've got a lot of people using it. So there's some of the little nitpicks. I know that this is really aimed at those of you who are going to be using it at home in front of your desks, but they're just some of the things that I would have liked Elgato to consider maybe for the next model. So what we'll do now is actually plug this into my own PC. I'll show you guys on screen and on camera how the software works with the Stream Deck Plus, how I've got it configured for myself, and maybe that will give you some ideas on how you can actually set up and utilize it in your own space. Okay, so what you're seeing on the screen at the moment, this is the software for the Stream Deck on the left-hand side. You just download it from the Elgato website. And then on the right-hand side, we've actually got a live preview here of my Stream Deck and actually how it's set up. So what you can see off the bat here is the fact that you've got the same layout on the software as you do in person when you're actually using this thing. So you know where the buttons are and how it's all going to sort of map out. So what I've done is I've set mine up to actually be my CPU and GPU temperature. I've got launchers here for opening up different programs, for opening up Adobe Photoshop, Premiere, Chrome, Battle.net, OBS, all that stuff. I've got control here to my system volume. I'm going to try and do it in a way that you can still see it on the screen. I've obviously got a play pause here. I've got a control for iTunes if I want to have independent control of the volume. If I want to turn up and turn down the brightness of the Stream Deck, you can do that. So I've set it to about 40% at the moment just because the camera can't handle it really if I turn it up to 100. So, you know, in person 100 is fine, but on camera 40% is enough. And then with that touchscreen, we can actually go ahead and swipe to the second or third or fourth or fifth page, or however many pages you want. So you can have multiple layers here. So I've got a page here for one OBS situation where I'm streaming. I've got another one here for when I'm recording and doing other streams onto different platforms. And then I've got one here for changing the colors of my PC fan light. So this is through a third-party plugin from Corsair. And then I've got another one here which shows you how many subscribers I've got. So subscribe if you haven't. I've got one here to turn off and turn on the camera. I've got one for changing profiles, which with a new profile basically gives me a whole bunch of new buttons that I can, you know, assign commands to. So you might have one profile for work and one profile for when you're gaming or when you're photo editing or whatever else that it is that you want to do. So to give you a sort of a quick demo on how easy it is to actually add a command, what we'll do is we'll click the plus button, which gives us a new layer, and then we can actually just swipe to go back to previous layers if we want. And maybe what we'll do is add a open command. This is to launch a program. So we'll type in the word open up in the search, click and drag that onto the button that you want to assign it to. Click down to either open an app or a file. So we'll do a file here. We'll choose a shortcut to a program that I use quite often. So we'll do PowerPoint. And now we've got the PowerPoint icon on the Stream Deck. And so we can actually delete that title because I personally recognize the icon. I know what it's there for. You might want to call it something fun like lol work. And then if we press the PowerPoint button, what will basically happen is it will launch the PowerPoint program, which you can see now in the background there. So really simple, and it gives you a bit of an understanding on how easy it is to actually use this product, what you might be able to do with it, and what sort of commands you can assign to it. And I mean, you can get other things from Elgato like their lights, turn on and off their lights. You might want to go ahead and have third-party plugins from, you know, other websites or, you know, from other plugin providers like this here, for example. Let me just turn off the camera for a second. This is the plugins page where you can actually go ahead and browse all the different extensions. So you've got ones for Twitch, OBS, Spotify. I think there's even ones for Teams as well, like Microsoft Teams is one there. If you want to change your Slack status, there's one for Slack. I think there's one for maybe Zoom as well. Like there are so many different commands. You've also got access to a lot of different icons. So if you want to change how the icons look, if you want to have access to copyright-free music for your background, for your streams, or for your, you know, whatever it is that you're doing, you got sound effects there as well. It's actually really, really sick. Now, the other thing that's really cool as well is that this actually can act as a audio mixer. So what I'll do for a second is I'll just turn on the camera again so you can see it, and we'll go back to what I actually have set up for when I am playing games with friends and everything else. So down in the corner here, you can see there's a tiny little icon such as to suggest there's a stack, because you can actually put multiple commands onto the dials as well. So if I press this down, it will actually cycle through and be different, I guess, programs. So I can actually have granular control over different programs. So if I want to turn the game down but keep the music up, or Discord up, or whatever it is that you want to do, you can actually just cycle through and do that. And you know, the possibilities are honestly endless. Then the other cool thing that you have access to is the Elgato Wavelink software. So this is something that you normally only have access to when you're actually using a Elgato microphone, but this is their audio mixer software. And with a Stream Deck Plus, because you unlock the audio mixer capability, you can use the Wavelink software with other microphones. Like this is a Yamaha microphone, and you've got now an audio mixer and a Stream Deck all combined into one. Normally, to get access to this software, you need to be using an Elgato product, but because I'm using a Stream Deck Plus, which has that mixer, I can use whatever microphone I want. So again, really, really cool functionality. Gives you, again, just lots of possibilities in terms of like what you can do with it. And I personally, now that I've actually got one here, don't know how I've actually lived this long without having it, to be honest. So would I actually recommend the Stream Deck Plus to you guys? I mean, $340 is a lot of money to ask for a product like this, but I think when you factor in how much value and how much time you can save with just having one simple product to do it all on your desk, you know, because you got to remember that this is an audio mixer, you got a Stream Deck, you got all these layers, you got all these plugins, all these extensions. So whether or not you're a streamer or if you're just a power user, if you're someone who likes to just make everything as efficient as possible, then yeah, I would say 100% get it, especially if you don't have a mixer for your audio. If you're someone who already has an audio mixer and you're happy with the audio side of things and you just want maybe something to launch programs, maybe look at their Stream Deck, that's about $230, or even their Stream Deck Mini, which is only 6 buttons for about $120. Maybe for you, that's going to be perfectly fine. But if you're the other person who doesn't have any of this stuff and maybe you're like, geez, I wish I could just have one product to do it all, I think this is going to tick a lot of boxes. I wish Elgato maybe in the future would just allow me the option of adjusting the angle, make these buttons a little bit better as well, but overall it's a really solid product, and for the price point I think they've packed in a lot of value. So that's all I have to say for this one. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down the bottom. Now that you're done finishing this video, maybe go back and check out another Elgato product that I did, their 4K 60 frame a second webcam. It's pretty nuts. It's what I use behind me. And other than that, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.